All right, Jeffrey Sundquist, President and CEO of the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us today. I was super excited to talk to you. We've had a little discussion off camera there, and you got me all jacked up with all the things here you guys are doing now. And so, yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be a great conversation, and I'm really looking forward to jumping into some of the great things that the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce is, what you guys are doing, and what the future holds. So, yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Reading on your website, one of the main things that or one of the big titles I saw there was that we're not going to be going back to the way it was. Like COVID has clearly changed the way that we do business, the way we look at business, whether it's a work from home model or, more remote access, or maybe even just producing more internal and becoming less reliant on external. I mean, we still want to sell, and that's something, we talk about as Albertans quite a bit. We need to grow the need that the world has for us, as opposed to us needing the world.
Yeah.
And that's something we talk about lots with a few of our guests on this show. What are kind of the things we got to be looking at in that range of things? Like, how do businesses look at becoming a need to the outside as opposed to needing the outside more?
Well, we have to look at different markets. We have to look to different markets, irrespective of what market sector you're in.
Mm-hmm.
We need more customers, and we can't be economically dependent on any particular market as we have been, like the United States. And so whether it's Europe, Asia, depending on, we've got some very interesting, capable companies, very unique, whether it's on the technology and artificial intelligence, machine learning. We've got some great capability there that we need to move forward on. Precision agriculture, we're blessed with significant and high quality agricultural lands, and I think the narrative around food security, Canada can play a significant role in.
Big time.
And between the University of Alberta, all of our post-secondary institutions, the capabilities that we've got, in the province, we've got a lot to offer, and I think it's just a matter of harnessing this. We've been talking about diversification for decades. We finally have to execute.
Yes.
We can't continue this boom bust cycle, particularly when you look at new generations coming through and how they perceive our traditional business, around energy. Rest assured, the energy sector is going to be around and in demand for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But we also recognize that we need to transition away from fossil fuels, and Albertans are very, very creative and innovative. We know how to get difficult stuff done.
Yes.
Look at the oil sands, for instance, right? So we can figure stuff out, and I think the world needs creative ways to problem solve.
We need a leader. And we can be that leader. That's what I love. I mean, you use the oil sands as an example. People don't realize the amount of technology that was created to do the work that's done up there specifically for that region and purpose. But that technology also led to different areas of technology development too. Like, it didn't just stay, it's just oil and gas. It's like, we research, some of the steam and water separation, mineral separation, cleaning water. Like, that's a huge growth. We've had some people talk about plastics and the advancement of plastics and the importance of them.
Yeah.
These are all things that were originated here in Alberta. And, you mentioned some things just a little while back when we talk about University of Alberta, artificial intelligence. I mean, that's right here in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And that is a massive feather in our cap to have that. And so to nurture and support that into entrepreneurial businesses and new ideas and innovation, like you said, so important.
But we have to execute on it, Bryce. We can't continue to announce and re-announce things.
Yep.
We need to actually double down and get it done.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, we've got some traction. But rest assured, other markets are pursuing this.
Oh, yeah.
And when you've got, I'll use China as an example, when they're putting $1 billion of treasure into artificial intelligence and machine learning, and we're humming and hawing about millions of dollars. we've got a tactical advantage right now,
Mhm.
but it could slide away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then what about like when it comes to retaining? So like we get this technology going, we get that worker the business's growth here, but we want to keep those businesses here. And that's a big topic that we talk about lots on the show about just okay, we've got these great initiatives, we've got these great talent, entrepreneurs, the business is developed, the research is done, then we get to the development stage or the sales stage when the money's ready to come back to us after our governments, our municipalities have invested into it, and bam, somebody else scoops it up from the United States or China because of whether it's tax incentives or whatever it is, loan procurement, financial funding,
Or a higher willingness to pay.
higher willingness to pay.
Yeah. So yeah, valuations
Yeah,
are conservative here.
yeah,
If you've got somebody from a different market who has a higher willingness to pay or has an advantage in currency, yeah, that is an issue for Canada that we develop these novel organizations and then sell them before we can fully monetize the opportunity.
yeah.
But I mean that's business.
I know.
That's business. Like if, I used to do M&A work. So, I know that you want to go in and find something that is a good strategic or a tactical fit to your organization. You want it to be accretive, and you don't want to overpay.
Mhm.
But I've also been in competitive situations where somebody, particularly private equity, has got a higher willingness to pay. They're going to pay, maybe a 12 multiple
Yeah.
on earnings, because they got to put their capital to work.
Mhm.
That's what their shareholders are.
Yeah, yeah.
My experience is in private business,
Mhm.
and so you've got to take a look at what your rate of return is going to be.
Yeah. Is it possible that we price ourselves out of our own market?
In what way?
Well, so if we were talking about under evaluating
Hmm.
our assets and some of these companies that come up and technologies that are produced.
Hmm.
Um, is it possible that a lot of companies turn around and try and get more locally than what? Because if they know the evaluation is low here, then they still ask for that super high price. I mean, I know it's business and they want to go and get the highest dollar. Um, but are they shooting themselves in the foot? I guess not. Like, I mean, when you really think about it,
The the
they're
market
business. They're
the
going
market
for the
will
dollar.
determine
Yeah,
the price, right?
yeah.
And that's
And if the
simple
market's
supply.
not here, they got to go someplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to create those markets here and make sure they stay.
Yeah, I mean we're a country of 35 million people,
Yeah.
you know. Uh
Small compared.
right, and we're geographically diverse.
Yeah.
And so, we've got when you've got 95% of the Canadian population within, what is it, 150 kilometers of the US border, with the exception of Alberta.
Hmm.
um, there's a natural draw to have those customers there, but we've also seen the impact of having economic dependence on the US. And
Yep.
and when the US sneezes, we catch a cold.
Hmm. Hmm. So bringing it back to Edmonton, the organizations you worked with, Edmonton Global, obviously now that's getting us out there, right?
Hmm.
Now, what about the people that are here? I mean, you guys have a strong membership. What are some of the things that you bring to a member when they come in? What are some of the resources and opportunities that they get from that?
Well, of course, I mean the three tenets of the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce is that we advocate and we connect, and we educate.
Mhm.
And so when you take a look at during COVID, it's been really difficult for us to connect
Mhm.
people, to network.
Yeah.
But the team has done a really good job doing as best we can to use different technology platforms to be able to connect people. There is fatigue for sure on the whole Zoom thing. I think we've all experienced that. Um, but advocacy, we communicate with all orders of government, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, and we have opinions on things. And uh, our voice matters, and we can get an audience with the mayor. We can get an audience with the premier and ministers and so forth, both provincially and federally, and we can advocate for conditions that are conducive for business.
Mhm.
Anything from taxation, to an inclusive recovery, affordable childcare, those types of things that are going to help help businesses thrive.
Hmm.
And and so and people ask for our opinion. Politicians ask for our opinion. What do we think about that?
Yeah.
And we can help shape the business ecosystem, so that it's conducive. Particularly now, business is global, and we have to fight not only to be competitive but to be attractive.
Hmm.
And so, things like the airport, we got really behind getting EIA back going. I think the business community or the broader community was thinking, well, yeah, okay, so there's 4 Canadian airports that are allowing international traffic. That in itself was a challenge for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
We lost 39 destinations during COVID, and it's not like you flip a switch and these flights start again,
Yeah.
right? So we, as at the chamber, used not only our member network, but the Greater Edmonton Region Chambers of Commerce network to make sure people really understood the issue,
Yeah.
and that it takes, when airlines are using the pandemic, um, as um, a way to rationalize their fleets and optimize their networks. you know well, do we go to that city or do we not go to that city?
Yeah.
And all of that route planning and aircraft allocation happens years in advance.
Hmm.
So while we've been behind it, we had to get the business community to recognize that, once things start back up internationally, flights are not just going to appear overnight.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
we did great work. The airport did some fantastic work building out and attracting international logistics companies because
Yes.
of our location.
Yeah. They did some great work.
They did.
Fantastic work. Yeah.
But it's, while we may kind of own the dedicated cargo aircraft
Hmm.
market,
Yeah.
other cities are kind of owning the passenger belly cargo
Hmm.
traffic. So we need to have those complementary assets working together.
Yeah.
And so we need to get international destinations, direct business links to business centers. It's reputational. I mean, we're the provincial capital, and we run the risk of being relegated to a regional airport and a flyover city.
Yeah.
So we need to collectively come together and recognize that we have an issue in getting the airport and the destinations back on track. But we also, if we're asking for an airline to invest in our market, we as a region have to support that airline.
Yeah.
Right? We got to fill the plane.
Yeah.
And so there is some reciprocity
Yeah.
that's needed there.
And that fill needs to be bringing, money. It's got to, and it's crazy how important, like you said, if we're not a hop, skip, and a jump, easy access, the decisions for people to bring their businesses here or to bring their business here, period, that mean their dollars, right, their wallets, that's a killer. If they're like, it's such a hassle to get there, it's takes me a day, whatever, that is such a de-incentivizing element that people don't look at.
You're exactly right. Yeah, if it takes you 3 segments to get to a city, it's really hard. And when you take a look at the knowledge workers that we've got, and we've got some fantastic talent in the Edmonton metropolitan region, people want to travel.
Yeah.
When we can.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. It's getting there. It's getting there. Come on, it's around the corner.
But people want to be able to be reasonably mobile, and capital needs to be mobile, and so to attract investment, to your point, we've got to be accessible for talent retention, talent acquisition, capital. All of those things require a strong economy, and a strong economy requires a strong airport.
It's going to segue into my next thing, which is quality of life for the people that live here and the businesses that operate here too. That directly correlates because, quality of life is having that access to be able to travel easily and move around the country or visit family around the country and things like that. But when we go back into like your child care, advocacy that you guys are looking at, again, that's the same thing of quality of life. People are looking, and pandemic has really change the viewership of quality of life and what that means, what that definition is to people that live here and businesses that work here. So I think that those are all really great things that that you guys are promoting. And then when it comes to attracting, like we just had Tracy Bednard, Explore Edmonton, in on the show. Speaking at the airport, and you know she really brought a lot of great points forward in regards to attracting business, attracting engaging events, and which in turn attracts people to come here, stay in our hotels, eat our foods, dine at our restaurants, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Where does the Chamber of Commerce get involved in that area of things?
Well, this year's been very interesting. We've done a Better When It's Yay campaign, kind of a shop local campaign, and that went over really, really well. And that led into Sample the City, which was a culinary experience. And we had about 50 restaurants sign up for that. Very, very favorable response from the community, both on the consumer side and on the business side. So, you know, we're there to shore up wherever we can. You know, it's we want to promote local. We want to ensure that we've got an attractive and affordable business ecosystem, which is why, you know, while we're mindful of, you know, some of the benefit programs that municipal governments and provincial governments and federal governments have undertaken, we still need to have those fiscal guardrails so that taxation isn't going to be an eliminating factor for site selectors and so forth.
Yeah.
And so while we're mindful of the social programs and the business community has been very, very appreciative of that, we still need those fiscal guardrails.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was also going to say something, Bryce, about just about the Edmonton region and affordability. You know, I've heard on more than one occasion that, you know, Edmonton should go to Vancouver's airport and Pearson Airport and put up a billboard of what our houses cost here, right? You know, and you know,
great point.
Yeah, you know, so if you've got, I think the GTA, I think it's about 70% of household income is going to a home.
Yeah.
We're about 30, maybe 29%. So, yeah, you can cash out of Toronto. Not to throw Toronto under the bus, but you know it's an expensive marketplace, and you know, so for young families starting out, not only do we have got great opportunities for you know employment and growth, it's obviously a great you know lifestyle city, but it's an affordable lifestyle city.
Yeah. And the underlying beauties of it all, you know, we talk about the River Valley, we talk about, you know, Rogers Place. We've got a lot of great things happening here. Employment is, you know, we're ripe for employment right now. But if you need a job and you're in Toronto, Vancouver, swing on by, right?
Yeah.
And raising a family here is fantastic. Let's talk about closing skills gaps. It's one of the points that you guys have on your website. What exactly does that mean, closing skills gap?
One of the things that we've been talking about are things like micro-credentialing. So it's really market-driven, employer-driven micro-credentialing where you got short courses that align with the business needs. Our post-secondaries are fantastic. We've got a lot to offer in our degree and diploma programs. I think we've, you know, in every institution. But there's also the opportunity for us to do more industry-led education, and that's kind of the whole notion of micro-credentialing. And the other element is also foreign credential recognition. There are some fantastic post-secondary and learning institutions around the world. I think Canada in general can do a slightly better job of recognizing foreign credentials.
Gotcha. And when you're saying credentials, I just want to clarify for people that are listening that might not know what that means. The credentials you're talking, if they have a degree from a different university, say in, you know, like Uganda, that can be recognized here without too much of a hurdle of, like, say, upgrading or acceptance of what that level of education is.
Right. There are programs that try and map learning objectives, learning outcomes from different institutions around the world.
Gotcha.
But I think from time to time, we've taken a bit of an arrogant approach to foreign credentials. And I think we can maybe recognize more efficiently, more effectively, other learning institutions and their capabilities. or alternatively having minor bridging programs to ensure that the learning objectives and learning outcomes are consistent with our standards. It's not about changing standards.
Yeah.
It's it is about recognizing that other institutions in different parts of the world have got high quality education as well.
Yeah, and then just having that translate over, and in some cases it is just like a little bit of a boost, or we just got to get them to
Right.
cover another certificate or whatever. It's just, but getting them here is the first step,
That's right.
and encouraging them to come here is the first step. And
Yeah.
we have such a large foreign labor market here as well, and we need to keep that going too, because in a country that's such small population,
Yeah.
to get the work done that we want to get done or need to get done to compete with the rest of the world, we need those bodies.
And by extension, the new Canadian, that worker mentality is I think inspirational,
Mhm.
but also making those connections. Like when we have international students who come to the post-secondary institutions here, when they go home, they create that connection with Canada, that
Yeah.
emotional connection with
Yeah.
Canada, and those create trade routes.
Yeah.
Those create commercial opportunities, and so the immigration is going to be certainly an element of to help resolve our skill shortage,
Mhm.
um, but also things like credential recognition, attracting international students, all of those things are going to play, an important role.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you guys get involved, or do you guys get involved when, we talk about the education institutions that are here,
Hmm.
and a lot of those people, a lot of people are talking when they graduate, the jobs aren't there. Where do you guys get involved in anything like that here in Edmonton per se?
Well, one of the things that I'm working on during my mandate is really diversifying the Chamber of Commerce and getting people more engaged earlier on with what the chamber does.
Yeah.
And so I want to implement some sort of a membership for post-secondary students,
Hmm.
where they can get access to mentoring and just learning what a chamber of commerce does, its importance, and its an international relevancy.
Hmm.
So I think there's a great opportunity for us, to do that, and through our learning and educational seminars, bringing
Yeah.
in thought leaders
Yeah.
to speak to students, to create those connections, to create um, a forum for people to get access to people that they perhaps wouldn't normally.
Well, awareness is a big thing, and then the education
Yeah.
and so you guys are still holding quite a few of those seminars, or
Yeah,
has that slowed down during the pandemic?
we're not doing as many face-to-face,
Yeah,
obviously, and we'd
virtual, yeah.
really, really like to get back to that,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
think that's the most effective way to build and forge relationships.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's been a number of different programs that we've put on, for business. We've been at this now, I guess, doing virtual online seminars and education programs for now 2 years.
Yeah.
To my point earlier, I think there's an element of fatigue there.
Mhm.
Um, Regrettably, we've had to push our chamber ball, for instance,
Yes, I saw
because
that.
of
Yeah.
just not being able to get people to come together.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping that we've kind of turned the corner on a lot of this stuff, and hopefully by spring that we can get back to face. Where I think, while we create a lot of value through our educational and connection programs,
Mhm.
there's nothing like being face to face.
Yeah, no, hands down. What is the like earlier you said we have the World Trade Center. You guys have the rights to that. What does that mean for you guys to have that? And how is that recognized across the country?
Well, an interesting question, because the World Trade Center is a network of business, you know, business organizations.
Mhm.
So we are a member of 330 World Trade Centers around the world. So when I was doing more international work, whether I was going to Beijing or Abu Dhabi in the Middle East,
Yeah.
I would be able, as a chamber member, to be able to have administrative offices and
Yeah.
support and all of
Oh,
that. So it's that
gotcha.
kind of a network that
Gotcha.
it that it's basically the gathering place for business,
Yeah.
and different World Trade Centers have different elements. Some have
Mhm.
got conference centers.
Mhm.
Some have got shared workspace
Yeah.
and administrative support, those types of things.
Yeah.
But also, it is a globally recognized brand
Mhm.
that that is part of the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce.
Well, that's super cool to know that, like, being part of that network. Yeah, you have, hey, I'm part of
It's way
the World
cool.
Trade Center. Yeah, it's super cool, right? That's well, that's awesome. Like, and again, I think like that's a super big feather in your guys' cap, and for your pull and power
Mhm.
to be effective. That's a really neat piece. And I know you guys have some educational space in there. I think you have some like small little conference meeting spaces in
We
there.
do.
So you're
Yep.
right on 100 and or on Jasper Ave, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a
Yeah.
really, and can people walk in and check that out to get more information and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We one of the things that we've been really working on is things like arbitration.
Mhm.
We're a neutral space. So if you got two law firms and
Oh,
they need a neutral space, we've got lots of real estate. We do catering, and so we can take care of all the food and beverage needs.
yeah.
And we're in a neutral, nonpartisan space.
Gotcha. As president and CEO, what's like, is there like a term? Are you or do you just kind of go as long as they want you there and keep getting voted in, or how
I
does
serve
that
at the
work?
pleasure of the board, I guess. I'm there for a few years,
Okay,
and I was formerly the board vice chair.
gotcha.
And we relocated our business down to the U.S.,
Yeah.
which allowed me to step down as CEO of that group. And then, so I've been very familiar with
Yeah.
the Chamber of Commerce. I still stay affiliated with the Canada UK Chamber from my time being a diplomat in London.
Yeah.
And I just think it's such a beneficial organization. And when I was approached to consider taking on a leadership role here, thought, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
It's a great organization, provides great value for business. We want more members.
Yeah.
Um, and we provide great value to our member network and the broader business community.
Yeah. So, I mean, we covered a lot of stuff. A really great conversation. I think we've talked about enhancing Alberta's competitive position and Edmonton's competitive position. We've gone over some of your guys' response to the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of the virtual stuff that you guys are doing, education platforms, things like that. Inclusivity, we've talked a lot about that as well, which is really important. So you guys are doing some really, really great things. What's your goal? So, your term, I'm not going to put a time frame on how long you're going to stick around, but what
Talk
are
to our
some of the
board chair.
things, yeah, what are some of the things that what gets you excited? What gets you up out of bed in the morning and says, this is what I'm doing, and this
An
is the
alarm
direction we're
clock.
going. Yeah.
But other than that, no, really, during my mandate, Bryce, I really want to focus on diversification and both in geography.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is, we've largely been kind of a downtown-based organization. I want to get us out into all four corners of the city, and be that advocate for all regions of business, all sizes of business. We've got great diversity in our business community and our membership already, but I'd like us to get programming and take stuff throughout the city. And I also, want to diversify in terms of demographic. So where is the Edmonton Chamber relative to, the Chinese business community, the Indo business community, the Indigenous business community, the gay business community, all of these things. We as the voice of business, we need to have broad representation. And we've got a great platform to do that. I just think that there's maybe some organizations that don't know if they should be part of the chamber or have never been asked to be part of the chamber. And, when you take a look at our 132-year history, we have got deep roots in the Edmonton community. Obviously, over the course of time, and given the entrepreneurial spirit we have in Edmonton and in the region, we just get stuff done.
Yeah.
And do I need to be part of a member-driven organization? And the answer is yes, because we have that voice, we have that avenue to be able to go and speak on your behalf, support the chamber, be part of what we do, and allow us to take your agenda forward. So, I'd like us to be more geographically diverse and demographically diverse.
Awesome. There's a great saying, if you want to go, what is it? Fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it together.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. Again, going back to inclusivity and great minds. There's so many great minds in so many different areas and the great experiences. And you talk about all those different communities, Chinese, Indo, the LGBTQ. All of these guys have experiences, insights
Hmm.
that it's funny when you can be looking at a problem and just somebody be like, oh, it's somebody from the outside goes, oh, hey, what's with that? And you're going, where'd that guy come from? Yeah, that's a good point. Let's make it happen, and all those minds together
Yeah.
can create something pretty awesome.
Well, we've got some great thought leadership in this
Definitely.
area. We just got to harness it and amplify it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us today. This was super awesome. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Covered a lot of great topics, and I'm really excited to see, what the future holds for Chamber of Commerce and what you're going to mold us in the future.
Great. Well,
Right
I
on.
appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Take care.
And you.
Ooh, that's cold.